Well, had nothing better to do, so I finally decided to go see The Rise of Skywalker. Yes, well, I had always said I was going to see it, and and I was going to see it late. I was not going to see it, certainly not opening weekend or anything like that. And boy, I tell you, for a while there, I was thinking, I could just wait and see it. I signed up for D+, so I figured, for The Mandalorian. So I thought, I can wait till it comes on that. It would have almost been the first Star Wars movie that I never saw in theaters. But, so I said I would go see it. And so I did. Now, I didn't care anymore enough to avoid spoilers and everything, so pretty much everything in it I more or less knew, but that's not quite the same thing as seeing it for yourself. So there were a few things I'd heard about the healing powers and that sort of thing, but seeing how they display it and put it in action is a little something I didn't quite expect, but I should have, because boy, is it really, but it's stupid, but I don't know how else they could have done it. Now, very simply, a lot of people some have said they didn't really like it, but they say it's better than the other two. And in a lot of ways, I guess that's true. I think the sad part about this, just for the film unto itself, is that it actually does seem to be trying. But it's just an uphill battle that it couldn't possibly win, thanks to what. And so it has my sympathies to a certain extent. I know there's a lot of anger with J.J. Abrams for how he started this whole thing off, and I agree with a lot of those. I think he made some huge mistakes in how to present this. Of course, due to Iger's own admission, he was under pressure to make it look like Star Wars, and so he, that's kind of how and why you ended up with that redo of New Hope that he did. But of course, how much of that is his responsibility and not, shrinks somewhat when you consider what he did with Into Darkness with Star Trek, which is kind of the same idea. Whatever, but the position he's in here is not so much his fault as it is on Kennedy and Rian Johnson, with the absolute devastation of The Last Jedi and what it did to the franchise, which will reverberate for quite some time, because this is the original cast, the most beloved characters of the franchise and everything, and this is how you treat them. It's just I don't know. I mean, I know they're going to try to do movies in other eras and all that, and try to just stay away from this version of the story best you can, because it's just not going to sit well with people. But anyway, this one, in and of itself, had it avoided one thing, it might have done a little better. And that one thing is the absolute stupid decision to bring Palpatine back. It seems like there could have been another way to do this, where you could have had Ian McDiarmid come in and shoot scenes for either Force visions, or maybe better yet, that there was this last will and testament of Palpatine, and it revealed things, and even to the point of Rey is a Palpatine. You could reveal that through that, and it just devastates her and everything. But this is the kind of thing, following the model, if you to say, The Force Awakens copies New Hope because that's an echo of the story, or a similar event takes place, and you can even argue that there's echoes, and there certainly were echoes with the prequels, with Anakin being revealed to have actually grown up on Tatooine and all this sort of thing. And you could justify that to a certain extent. And so then, following that pattern, you would have thought that the revelation of Rey's family line would be revealed in the second movie, similar to what Luke had to go through, and then she has to deal with that. And it's the kind of thing that could devastate her and break her. And one of the aspects of Last Jedi that would not have saved the film, but it almost did, was a suggestion that Rey would agree with Kylo Ren and join him. And that could have been like this really shocking cliffhanger ending. And you could see, like, most notably Finn, who should have been further developed in that thing, but got railroaded by Johnson. Finn was the most interesting of the new 3 characters. Maybe that's just Boyega's presence and his abilities as an actor. But he really came across, he was one of the new ones I really liked in Force Awakens. And then he's just completely wasted in Last Jedi. But had that been more of a development, and you would have him be the one who reacts to this, it's like, well, what are you doing? You know, and he's just devastated. And it's just sort of this sad opening, you know, how things are. And then, you know, but in the end, the good guys win, you know. And also about Finn, there's all kind of teases and suggestions, and that's typical J.J. Abrams. But he said, somebody else finished this. Well, you should have known better, J.J. He wasn't anticipating Rian Johnson. But all the different teases and whatnot about, you know, the mystery of Rey and all this stuff. And, gee, who's Snoke and all that. And then there's Finn, and there's this kind of weird thing about him, which, you know, Kylo Ren, you have to just chalk it up that Kylo Ren was a bit curious and somewhat, you know, intrigued or what have you, or suspicious of Finn. But he said, well, he just somehow knew that Finn was about to betray them. Yeah, if he foresaw that, he would have just dealt with him right then and there. But the real thing is that there's something important about Finn. And the obvious thing would be, well, he's also Force sensitive. And there's indications of it here, but it's never paid off. There's this stuff where this is one of the things where there's stuff, a whole bunch of stuff introduced in Rise of Skywalker, but it never pays off, and they just, I guess it's on the cutting room floor, I don't know, but Finn keeps trying to tell Rey something. I have to tell you something. Now, there are 2 possibilities here. Rey, I'm in love with you. Which I think is probably more likely than not, and also which it pretty much spells out that he is Force sensitive. We don't see him utilizing the Force. I'd heard that there was a cut where he actually does, when at the penultimate, or the climactic ending there, where he and Jane are in trouble, he's able to use the Force to help them survive on, the Star Destroyer and all that. But that's not there. But he does have the sensory powers, if you will, when Rey dies. Yes, she does. Rather briefly, but nevertheless, she does. He feels it, So yeah, it does establish that there's something to him. It forgets all about the Last Jedi, that everybody has the Force, and if that's the case, then there's nothing to worry about. Everybody just use the Force, and the Sith are done. But plot holes aplenty. Oh, good Lord. And the stupidity of Palpatine, it just ruins everything. The ending is just sort of, oh, good Lord, get it over with, It's just too stupid. He's got this huge Sith cult there that's been working. They've been building this, and the fleet is so large. I was hoping against hope that the trailer was just, just for the trailer, but good God. All those ships there, it's like it's literally making fun of itself with that many ships. And of course, they all have Death Star cannons. Somehow he's managed to streamline the technology, because you had to have a moon-sized space station in the Death Star to generate the power necessary to fire off the weapon that destroys entire planets. But here, he just put it on the belly of a Star Destroyer and you're good. So they're about to launch all these, and they're going to destroy all the planets if you don't surrender to the final order. That's the new name, whatever. And yeah, that's just too. It's just beyond silly. Couldn't have had like a handful, or something, but no. And so yeah, the whole Palpatine thing you just can't even get started with. It's so bad. You see, and I think that this is tacked on too. Kathleen Kennedy is full of crap when she's saying this was always the plan. No, it wasn't. Trevorrow says, well, in my original script, there was no Palpatine in there. And this isn't Trevorrow's story. I guess maybe someday we'll get some inkling of what that would have been. He gets the writing credit, but that's just, the contracts and whatnot. So he gets a check. But it should have been someone else. Now, there were rumors that it was going to be the son of Mordor's character, but Disney balked at that because this is not enough people know who that is. So, Chapter 8 should have gave a lot of clues to that and introduced characters that were, you can't shoehorn them in at the last minute like this. So Darth Plagueis was one that kept coming up, and I always suspected that might have been what Abrams was thinking on this, and that Snoke would eventually be revealed to have been Darth Plagueis. But gee, his appearance, well, he's rather large for it to be just plain human. But yeah, he does have that human face. He doesn't have the face of a mun. I suppose you could have argued that he, through cloning and whatnot, he just used other body parts to keep him going. But the thing about Plagueis is that his story would fuel into this business of the Force healing and stuff, because this was something he was supposed to have been able to do. He could manipulate the midichlorians to keep those he loved alive, and this is what Anakin said, oh God, I gotta learn this so I can keep Padme alive. And so that could have led to a lot of stuff. There could have been this idea that Darth Vader had been in, I think the comic books deal with this, that he was trying to pursue secrets and powers of the Sith and whatnot, and trying in the hope against hope that he could revive Padme from the dead. Stuff like that. Kylo could have come in contact with that. But it's not there. They just put Palpatine in there. Make it look like Star Wars again. So, oh boy. This a really lackluster attempt at redeeming Luke Skywalker from last, but it doesn't make any sense. I mean, I guess the idea now is that since he's a Force ghost, he's all wise and everything. And so at one point, Rey is so devastated with the knowledge that, yeah, she's Palpatine. She goes back to, what was it, Octu, the island planet that Luke was exiled on. And she's had it. She takes the lightsaber and she throws it. But then here comes Luke's Force Ghost. He catches it and says, the weapon of a Jedi should not be so disrespected. This is that's what you did. He said, yeah, Rey, I was wrong. Now Rey is saying, oh man, I'm confused. And she's learning from Luke to some extent, you can argue, but at the same time, it basically says, no, Rey was right all along and Luke was wrong, all this stuff. And then he just so happens to have Leia's lightsaber, so he hands that off to her. And so now she has two lightsabers. Isn't that great? And I guess it's anyway that Luke knew what was about to happen in his, angelic form now. But it also seems to suggest that both he and Leia knew who Rey was. Now, unless it's insinuating that Leia figured this out through the Force while she was training her, then she figured that because the idea that they knew all along and Luke didn't say anything. Now, Luke, you could have had it that they were afraid of what she might become, so they decided the best thing was to keep her in the dark, and that would explain Luke's attitude. He was trying to disillusion her and dissuade her and, go away. But that just, Leia sends her, it doesn't work. It does not work. It could have been a narrative. It could have been something that Luke had to be that way, for whatever reason. A great evil would be unleashed if he didn't. And, it was painful, but he had to pretend to be this disillusioned guy when he really wasn't. It was all part of the plan or what have you. No, that's not it. And it's unfortunate because that kind of thing could have gone, well, that's one of the big crimes The Last Jedi is. The ultimate crime is the destruction of Luke's character, and then not really explaining it. Don't give me this crap about his bad Force vision. That's not enough. It's so brief in there for him to do that. You don't know the character of Luke Skywalker as developed by 3 chapters. Now, keep in mind, this is chapter 8. You can't just throw something in like that and not explain it. And so, really bad. And unfortunately, Rise Skywalker can't really fix that, and they just, maybe they had other dialogue, and there's stories of that there was more scenes with Luke, and that would have been nice. Apparently, there was a whole bunch of scenes with Anakin's ghost in there as well, which, boy, that should have happened. That should have been happening through the whole thing, But, nah, I guess they cut that out too. So it's terrible. But another aspect of it was that Luke had been on some sort of mission. He knew something was wrong, and he was searching for this Wayfinder. It's really stupid, but, well, what are you going to do? Now, it does refer to other stories about, and thinking the cartoons and stuff about these Sith holocron things, and all that. I'm not too up on that, but I do recognize it as that. And so, okay, fine. But the idea was that Luke had been on this mission, that Lando was with him, and they were searching for this, and then, I don't know, Luke just decided, I'm tired, I'm just going to quit. It doesn't make any sense at all, and that's why there's a whole other story that could make this work of dialogue and plot that's just not there, and this is, what are they going to do? This Last Jedi just really, really screwed them into a corner they can't get out. So, and then there's like Lando. Hey, Lando, what are you doing on Burning Man planet? He just said, hey, this looks pretty cool. I think I'm going to stay here. So he does. And then all the sad thing was the Resistance was calling out for people to join the fight and help, and they never came. And then here they finally show up. Well, it was Lando. So all they needed was Lando to say, hey, I'll get him on the phone. And they show up to rescue. And oh my God, the whole fight with the Sith fleet and stuff is just over the top stupid. They eventually defeat them with horses. Riding on the ship because they can't detect, because speeders they could have knocked out, but they couldn't detect the horses and all that. Just flip the ship over and the horses are gone. It's just, oh God, it's so bad. Oh yeah, someone does make mention of, let's just do the Holdo maneuver. Yeah, good point. As established by your crappy predecessor, Last Jedi, you can just light speed kamikaze all these ships. And they had all those ships, and they just could have outfitted them with droids or what have you. Yeah, don't tell me droids can't pilot ships. Count Dooku had a droid chauffeur, so... Just the whole thing is stupid. I mean, come on, the computer could fly it. So there you go. Light speed them into the fleet and done. And there's old crippled Palpatine. Oh no, you can do that? Oh shit! It's all over. Yeah. Ah, jeez. So yeah, that's the kind of crap that's just stupid plot holes. But if the characters hadn't been so badly treated, some of that stuff would have been forgiven, but it's not at this point. So I guess I just sort of feel sorry for Rise of Skywalker at this point, because there was really no hope. I can't forgive bringing back Palpatine. That's just so stupid. So I don't know who's ultimately responsible for that decision. They all say it's JJ's idea. Maybe it was, but it was a bad idea. Whoever did it. Again, like I said, a recording of Palpatine, something they didn't know about, that he had some cache of weapons somewhere that they were searching for, something like that. It would be just, another ultimate weapon. Probably just another, but the whole thing about having another Death Star would have been kind of the stupid Star Killer base, and that is on J.J. Abrams. The Star Killer base was just way over the top and just stupid. So then, there's another one? Yeah, I guess, something like that. Whatever. But it's just all this stuff about these, the First Order is just able to come up, and they all have these massive weapons. And nobody notices it's being developed, huh? Yeah. Well, I guess Luke noticed something was up, but then he just got bored and decided to go hang out with the Porgs, and that was it, Yeah, it just doesn't really work. No. Well, I'd heard rumors that Chewie was killed off. He wasn't. I guess maybe that was an earlier one where he seemingly killed off, but they didn't notice there was a second First Order ship that just, I don't know, was invisible or something. Because the way this scene is shot, yeah, he's dead. But yeah, I don't know. There's there's a lot of cuts here, because things just suddenly stop and don't make sense. And that's it. For a while there, I thought, oh, Chewie's pulling a fast one over him. He's deliberately getting caught because him and Lando have a plot and stuff. That would be too smart. So I guess that was never in the running. But yeah, there's stuff like that happens in there. So is there another cut? Yeah, there always is. There's always longer cuts and stuff. As to whether JJ was kind of stabbed in the back here, as was alluded to, or by leaks and whatnot. Yeah, maybe, but the idea that there was a cut where Finn and Poe were gay lovers, no, that's not there. In fact, we've learned quite conclusively that Poe, Zori Bliss, was an old girlfriend. And the thing about Poe, they continue this tradition that Holdo made, is that Poe's there to get kicked in the balls by women. Yes, and then while he's not looking, they reveal that they love him. Except Rey, I guess. For a while they thought, oh, maybe Rey and Poe would have a thing. But they, Abrams just forget about it. Johnson's not having it. And, but she's like, you're a difficult man, and all this sort of thing, So it's just, oh, he's a difficult man. But the problem is, his points that he was arguing about were not bad. But he's just there to be kicked in the nuts by women. So, sucks to be you, Poe. So there you go. That's Rise of Skywalker. I'm sure I will be doing other Star Wars videos soon. I've been thinking about doing ones what could have been, in my own ideas of what they could have done with what they had and what they should have done without even dealing with any of this. Stuff like that at some point when I get to it. But anyway, there you go. The Nailsin Ratings Review. For what it is. Star Wars Chapter 9, The Rise of Palpatine. It's kind of what it is. Oh, they could have had a cliffhanger ending where all of a sudden her eyes turn yellow and everybody's like, oh shit, what the but no. Anyway, there you go. Rise of Skywalker. Thank you for watching and listening. Say, why not like and subscribe, and check out that link description below. That'll take you to my mini stores that have plenty of goodies for you, especially to the link at indieplanet.com, where you'll find my comic book Night Knight. Yes, based on my audio plays Night Knight, but now you can see him in action in brilliant color within the pages of the Night Knight comic book. And you can also find my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, over at RadioMisfits.com. And you can watch my videos over at BitChute. That's the Mr Nailsin channel on BitChute.com.